Welcome live. Welcome into the show, the pre-show, if you will, not the actual show that will start here in a couple of minutes. But yeah, welcome into the pre-show as I bring over the iPad to be more closer. Yeah, welcome into the pre-show. This is the magical time of the show where, well, nothing really happens for the most part. Um, we are about to start the actual show here just in a couple of minutes. I put the tweet out to everyone on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days, and so everyone can join on this April 1st. This is not April Fool's joke. This show is not, so hopefully they'll stay that way. But I got a good, decent show today. Got some more spring intel, Marvel news going on. We have CinemaCon going on in Las Vegas. A lot of the major studios like DC will have theirs tonight. I think Disney Disney will be having be having their presentation. I don't know why that's hard to say. We'll be having their presentation on I think Thursday, I believe. So the Disney Marvel side of things will be on Thursday. Warner Brothers is tonight. Sony was yesterday, and got that. Of course, Q&A as usual, and then we'll have some talk about this. Speaking of Superman, this Superman leak that's going around the internet. Now, at the time of recording this, there might be some things coming out for in terms of Star Wars news that Josh over at Den of Nerds is going to be talking about in a video today that he has not released yet. Now, by the time you're listening to this or watching this on the actual show, then that might be already available to you. It has not been published yet. So by the time you're done listening to this, it's probably going to be already released. But there might be some stuff coming out from Star Wars, some stuff that he heard. So we'll just see about that, what that actually means. And we'll talk about that on the Thursday show. But I think we're ready to get started here. Again, if you're listening to this on the playback, if you want to get to the actual show, just adjust the slider on the video to about 2 minutes in, if you will. So we're about to start the recording here for audio. So, and 3, 2, 1. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Vor Verticals Podcast, episode 83, I believe. Let me check here. If that is indeed the case, it is episode 83. Making sure here we're not repeating show titles. Yes, it is episode 83. Okay, we're in order. There's been a couple times we've done episodes and the show title is incorrect. I've had to go change it afterwards. But no, this is episode 83. How about that? Getting ever so closer to syndication, the coveted 100 episode mark. Getting close. Not there yet. If you're new here, by the way, make sure you subscribe. We're not the best football, college football, Marvel, Star Wars show, but we are certainly not the oldest. We are the youngest. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the streams, videos, all of that. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, podcast feed, exact same thing. That's all we require from you is just subscribe. I don't have to turn on notifications. That's not required. We're not asking you to do that per se, but just subscribe, like the streams, and then we'll be okay. That's all we're asking for. It's going to help us keep this show free to you guys, and not put it behind a paywall. So about that. Big show here. Got an interesting headline of topics here. Got some spring intel, just some things we're hearing about the various fall camps going on across the country this spring. Did I say fall camps? I meant spring camps, spring practices, not anything that's not fall camp yet, but we're getting closer, though, ever so slightly. But yeah, spring practice intel. Got some thoughts on the Spider-Man news that came out yesterday, last night, and thoughts on the Superman leak that's been going around. I will address that, and some Q&A as well. A couple of questions towards the end of the show. Should note here, as we've been mentioning for the past couple of shows, about severe weather happening across the country, as I am a student of, well, not actually a student of atmospheric science, but a fan of it. Keeping tabs on a situation developing out, as I'm in Florida, this will be out to our west. And in fact, here in Florida, Jacksonville's really warm the next couple of days, almost summer-like, a 90-degree weather. Though, if you are a fan of cooler weather, if you live in the local area, that's coming back next week, so it won't be too much longer. But it's a little mini preview of summer. It'll be hot and warm. It was 84 this morning when I went out. It was pretty warm. It was warm already, and it's warm now. So, but yeah, keep an eye on some severe storms, possibly in Oklahoma tonight, Oklahoma City, Wichita, Kansas, that area. Looks like it's going to be sort of a conditional situation. I'm not going to bore you guys on that. This is not a weather podcast. But then we have the big show tomorrow for basically the same areas that have been hit the past couple of weeks. Missouri, Arkansas, Eastern Arkansas, Eastern Missouri, Western Mississippi, Texas. Texas is included, but Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, those areas tomorrow. And it's going to be like that for a while. So hopefully, if any of you are listening to this in those areas, hopefully you're ready. And again, as Ryan Hall of the Ryan Hall channel says, be prepared, not scared. And hopefully we'll get through that okay for those of you who live out there. But yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that. It's going to be interesting to see what transpires here in a little bit. In fact, as I am recording this, there is actually going to be probably a tornado watch being issued. By the time you're listening to this and watching this in the replay, there already probably would have been a tornado watch being issued for Central Oklahoma. Looks like the folks over at SPC, Storm Prediction Center, they have outlined a discussion on that. So that should be coming out here soon by the time you're done listening to this. And there's nothing going on there right now. But trust me, later tonight, at least your time over there, around 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock, a different story. So, yeah, that's it for the weather part of this program. But as I stated on Twitter yesterday or Sunday, if we ever have any weather impact on this show, whether it be particularly here in Florida hurricanes, I will always make sure to let you guys know that we're either combining shows or moving shows around. When I ghost you guys, I'm not that type of person, as you guys will learn if you're new here. So, all right, spring intel. I got some thoughts on Georgia. Thoughts on the running back situation. Now, quarterback, we know it's probably going to be Gunnar Stockton, much to the chagrin of most of you, which I detest a little bit because if you look at who Gunnar Stockton is and how he performed last year and coming in after Carson Beck got hurt, he wasn't the problem for Georgia last year. There was other issues that Georgia had, whether it be the intensity on the offensive line wasn't there last year, or maybe the defense was a notch down from previous Kirby Smart Georgia teams. So let alone they won the SEC last year, so little Georgia, I guess. But yeah, I think with Gunnar Stockton probably being your QB1, I just don't understand how there's just a lot of animosity towards Kirby Smart in that decision. And I've seen a lot of folks, and many people have brought up this on various shows in terms of questions like, oh man, Kirby's choosing seniority over talent, over Ryan Puglisi. Well, Ryan Puglisi will get his time to shine at some point. Probably not this year. Talented kid. I think Puglisi was a 4-star, maybe 5-star, if I recall. A lot of folks are pretty had a lot of good feedback on him back a couple years ago, especially at Elite 11. But Puglisi's time will come, if it not there or somewhere else, not at Georgia or somewhere else. But Gunnar Stockton, in times where he came in last year, wasn't the problem. I think he played well given the circumstances. And I think for Kirby and someone like him, who's been doing this for already 10 years now, I think it stands to reason that Gunnar Stockton is your starter quarterback. I know people will criticize Mike Bobo and the joke around college football circles, especially with us who are really deep into it. It's, whenever there's a job opening, Georgia fans are like, oh yeah, please take Kirby, please take Mike Bobo. We'll let him go. He's a good coach. You can take him. That's the joke, right? It's the Georgia fans really want Kirby Smart to let Mike Bobo go and become a head coach elsewhere, and they can get rid of him because they don't like him. Hopefully I didn't say Kirby Smart. They're not letting Kirby Smart go. I'm referring to Mike Bobo and the fans wanting. That's a joke going around about the fan base really wanting Mike Bobo to leave anytime there's a head coach opening. And it's going to continue as long as he's there. I guarantee you that. I think for Georgia, quarterback, no problem. Receivers, we'll see. I think the best part of Georgia outside of quarterback on offense, because defense I have no problem with. I think defense, as long as Kirby is there and that whole staff there sticks together, or at least Kirby, as long as Kirby's still there, he's the nucleus of the whole defense. He's Kirby freaking Smart. As long as he's there, as long as that coaching staff there, the nucleus of it is still there. I mean, as long as you still have guys like Glenn Schumann or someone like Travarius Robinson, who's second year as the staff there. Defense for me, no concern whatsoever. I can at least rely on them every single year to put out a competent defense that will be good enough to win football games for them. Offensively, though, I think it does stand to reason the running back room has to improve. I think I've been saying that for a while here. Running back room needs to improve mightily. That just has to happen. I think for a Kirby Smart Georgia team, and even Georgia historically, going back to even well before my time, you think of so many good running backs that have been through there and 1,000-yard rushers, and they didn't have that last year. They had guys who were good, but not the type of oomph you've had in the past Georgia teams, right? Several Georgia running backs over the years under Kirby Smart. Nick Chubb, who was inherited, Holyfield, guys like that, who really standouts of that offense that folks who are ingrained into this like me will remember. But the Georgia guys currently, some of the running backs in the roster, you don't really have a good feel for them. You don't really know exactly how they will fit in. But in terms of what Georgia has, at least the weakest part of their team, the other weaker part, is probably the receiver room. But I think it's getting a little bit better, right? You bring in Zachariah and his brother coming in from USC. But Zachariah in particular, the receiver, more of a, how should I say this? I mean, when most of you remember Zachariah Branch, his freshman year pops off against San Jose State, has like a kickoff return and a touchdown, a receiving touchdown, had a great start to his freshman year, sort of, wiggled off a little bit. That's the right term. Kind of faded away towards the end of the year, a little bit last year too, then a non-factor for them. Goes over to Georgia. It's an offense that is probably seething to have a number one wide receiver. Don't know if he's going to be necessarily the candidate for that. They still have good tight end talent too. They have, I believe, Oscar Delps is still there, I believe. I believe the kid from Stanford's still there too. Let me actually double check that just to be sure that is true. I believe that is true, that he is still there. If I recall. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is still there, the kid from Stanford, I think. Here I am doing some research on the fly here. See here, some last year. Yeah, Urasek. Yeah, he's still there. Benjamin Urasek, the kid from Stanford. Yeah, I thought he was still there. But tight end room, I think I feel good about. Receiver room, we'll see. Running back room, same thing. But again, with a Kirby Smart Georgia team, the emphasis is not on the offense, it's the defense. And again, I'm much disagreeing if you're one who hates Mike Bobo and doesn't like that Gunnar Stockton doesn't mean you're starting quarterback probably. I just say, like, if you were in Kirby Smart's shoes and he's been doing this for a long time, who would you choose? Would you risk bringing in someone like a Ryan Puglisi, a 5-star or 4-star kid, again, talented, again, a lot of folks listen to guys like Josh Paycover 3. And Puglisi's not some bum, but do you want him you do want him to go out there versus, Tennessee in week 3 and throws, he may throw 3 touchdowns, may also throw 3 interceptions and fumble the ball twice and have 6 or 7 turnovers on the road to Neyland. I don't think you want that. You bring in someone like Gunnar Stockton Gunnar Stockton, who has been there in the system for a while. He's a former 4-star kid. He's used to, has been in big moments before. Would you want that? Or, again, would you want the inexperience of, raw quarterback in Puglisi? I would much rather take the experienced guy, at least if I were in Kirby's shoes. But, it's a tough call. Again, talent versus experience. I know a lot of you guys want the talent, want the, the flashy thing. But if it's working for you, and it's been working to have someone like Stetson Bennett in the past, or a Jake Fromm even, or next year in a Carson Beck, it works. And if it's not broken, then don't fix it. If it's not broken, but let's see here. LSU, interesting here in terms of transfer situation. I think the knock on Brian Kelly the past couple of years, up to including last year, was when he used the portal. I mean, it's not they've been totally neglecting the portal. I mean, they still use it. I mean, they're not like Clemson here the past couple of years have chosen to distance themselves from it. Now they've finally, Dabo's finally caving in, if you will, or that's even the right term. But they have not done well in terms of their evaluations, and some of their evaluations have not been well enough, or not well enough. I don't know what that means. Good enough to do our standards there. And at LSU, your standard is having a good defense and competent offensive production. I think you're going to get that with Garrett Nussmeier coming in and some of the guys you brought in or bringing back or who are you're elevating now because of other receivers moved on. Or wide receiver wise, I'm not concerned. Defensively, again, as I've been talking about, I want to see improvement. I think you're going to get that. Guys like Patrick Payton, the Mitchell kid, never V line, pretty good pickup for them in the portal. Cooley from NC State, 4-star corner in the portal. Green, the tight end, adding to that wide receiver room. I think I mentioned Patrick Payton, but they've had the best production last year. But then again, he was part of that same defensive line that Nick Saban and everyone who was an NFL analyst said that was the best defensive line in the ACC. They weren't lying to you in terms of talent and raw abilities, but they didn't show the whole lot last year. But hopefully, bringing all this talent, especially with Kevin Peoples over there, someone who a lot of folks in the industry really believe is a rising star in this business or in the business of coaching. You bring someone in like Patrick Payton to a guy like Kevin Peoples, who's been doing this for a while and very experienced and is good at his job. You would hope that there would be, you draw some things out of Patrick Payton you haven't seen yet, given this is probably his last opportunity to play major college football. So for LSU, again, you're hearing some good stuff about that. I think they did hit in the portal this time, unlike last year. And I think offensively, I'm really concerned. They bring in, Nick Anderson, Hill, also from Florida State, Nick Anderson from Oklahoma, Sharp from Oklahoma as well, tight end. So I think, and also Barian Brown, who was, by the way, in that college football video game, he was a 99 speed or whatever, one of the few players who had that. So if if EA Sports is telling you that Barian Brown's a very good player, then he is, and that's a player that I think of that wide receiver position, along with the guys who are there, who have been there for recruiting. You don't know who their names are. That's a guy in Barian Brown that I'll be paying attention to throughout the rest of spring and into fall camp, because I think that's, unless injury happens, that's another thing you can't predict here. But he could be a factor. Certainly, man. That's no doubt in my mind he could be. Let me see here on my notes here. Whatever teams we had discussed here. Yeah, Florida State. I think it's more about the offense still. I think you've seen Florida State, along with other teams across the country, scrimmaging, some things you're hearing, especially on offense. When you're bringing in Gus Malzahn, who's going to be running, and of course, a similar system to Mike Norvell, albeit it's a little bit different, right? More emphasis on running quarterback. You bring in KJ, the Castellanos kid from Boston College. You're expecting it to be more of a run-based offense, a runner at quarterback. You're not expecting a 3,000-yard passer. That's just not what a Gus Malzahn offense is. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that that's wrong to have that approach. But if you're going into this mindset, if you're a Florida State fan, you're just now checking in. Now you're starting to hear more and more about what's been happening in practice and stuff, and you're just realizing, oh yeah, Gus Malzahn, who was at UCF, is our OC. Okay, whatever, fine, we'll go along with it. Unless you just forgotten who Malzahn is, as a Florida State fan, and if you've been cheering for them for a while, you have literally faced him before. Granted, that was like 12 years ago, the national title. But if you've forgotten what the Malzahn offense is, it's not necessarily offense that you're going to be scoring, or you're not going to be having quarterbacks through for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. That's not realistic. That's not who they are, but that's okay. And I think Malzahn, the book on him is, you bring in a ready-made quarterback, sort of an instant, microwavable player, bring him in, just reheat him, mold him to your liking. Excuse me, a little burp there. Mold him to your liking, and hopefully his previous coaching has got him ready. And I think that's what you're hoping with Castellanos coming in to be your starter at quarterback. And again, I'll say this again, if you're expecting this offense to be, a pass-oriented offense or even a balanced offense, I think you're shaping yourself up to being disappointed in that. Again, that's not me saying it's wrong to be, running a run-based offense or running a quarterback. No, it's fine. I actually, as a fan, as a fan of offense, I do enjoy having running quarterbacks on offense, and nothing wrong with that. But again, if you're expecting this offense to be more balanced or even geared towards passing, I would say you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. But I think the even more interesting thing, at least for me, is how is this going to work? I mentioned this before in past shows, where the dynamic with, Norvell, Malzahn, both these guys are, Malzahn being his mentor, both these guys, offensive-minded guys, very much high-ego people, because they both think, oh, I'm the best offensive mind, or no, I'm the best offensive mind. And it's really interesting to see how that works out. They're both adults. They can handle it. But I'm just wondering, is there going to be any meddling? We've seen it with, Malzahn at Auburn multiple times, where it's, I'm calling the plays this year. Oh, no, just kidding. I'm not calling them next year. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm, getting the Uno reverse card out, and I'm calling the offense now. Or no, wait, I'm being the CEO again. Sorry, we'll let someone else. That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen, where it's this, this mystery of who's calling the plays. Hoping that doesn't happen for Florida State, because again, you're dealing with two veteran OCs, or at least guys who have been calling offensive plays for a long time, Norvell and Malzahn. I'm just hoping that doesn't happen. But it seems like for the moment, Norvell's letting Malzahn do his thing, and I hope that's a good thing, but we'll see how long that lasts. And look, I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just saying that there is a possibility that could happen. It's not a guarantee, but certainly a possibility that we could see maybe some meddling here. Now, Louisville, their best player is Isaac Brown, running back. It was a great asset for them last year. He's going to be really good for them, and he's back this year. Again, of course, had a really good year last year. They brought in the quarterback from USC. I'm forgetting his name. How come I don't remember his name? I should know this. It's the kid from USC. I think it's Miller Moss. Yeah, why did I forget his name? Miller Moss from USC coming in. I think it's sort of an upgrade over what you had last year, but I mean, that's not really saying much, given it was good last year. And of course, you're having a new starter, but Miller Moss coming in, going into a great offensive mind in Jeff Brom. Nothing against Lincoln Riley. Look, I'm a Lincoln Riley fan in terms of his offensive style and the way he does things, at least offensively. But Jeff Brom and the Brom brothers in general, very underrated. Josh Pate mentioned this a lot, and eventually we'll do our head coaching power, I guess, tier listing, if you will, at some point, probably next week, or in the coming weeks. We're probably going to have a lot like all these other industry types. Probably going to have Jeff Brom pretty high up there, which would blow a lot of your minds. But if you really look at Jeff Brom's history, just go back to Purdue, right? You have the Tyler Trent game, and God rest his soul. Tyler Trent, if you don't remember, the student who had what was it? I think cancer or something or whatever. He was illness or whatever, and he was a bad situation for his family, but he was there at one of Purdue's big games, or biggest ones in that school's history, beating Ohio State. He was there for that. It was the blackout game, and game day was there, and it was I remember watching on TV back almost now a decade ago. Just incredible atmosphere, incredible field storming, just amazing. But even going back to not even just that game, but just the entire I guess resume of Jeff Brom at Purdue, just incredible. Multiple winning seasons, multiple offensive outputs that were pretty high up there and among some of the best in college football. Even out of Louisville, I mean, he's been doing some terrific things there, even though it's a small sample size. It's only his third year, but he's done some great things up there. He's a great offensive mind, someone that I know this is going to sound crazy, but if there ever is never big time. Look, I'm not saying Louisville's big time job. I know it's his alma mater. He's from there. He grew up in the area. I'm just saying, don't be surprised in the next 2 years or so of some of these other openings, like especially in the SEC or even some of these other job openings in the Big Ten, that Brom's name's mentioned. He's been mentioned before in some of these rumors and theories about, hey, if this coach leaves, Could they bring in Jeff Brom? You will probably see even more of that. And I think a lot of athletic departments and certainly a lot of reporters, up to including me, YouTubers, are think very highly of him. And he's done a very good job there. And I think with Miller Moss coming in, didn't have a great year last year, at least horrible into the year. You also have someone like Isaac Brown at running back. That combination to me is going to be insane to watch. Now, if you look at Louisville's schedule now, of course, eventually we'll do a proper preview for this as I bring it up here on the computer. Okay, so they have an FCS team, two G5s, and then they're out of conferences, Pittsburgh. So you generally could probably start 4-0. Then you have Virginia, again, probably be 5-0, maybe, we'll see. Then it gets sort of hard in here, and sort of gets difficult in a hurry here with Miami at Virginia Tech, regardless of whether or not you or me think of the coaching staff up there. Still, Lane Stadium's a tough place to play at, regardless of how bad the team is. They don't have any horrible travel in terms of going to the West Coast because they get Cal at their place and they get a Clemson on, is that a Friday? Yeah, it's a Friday, and they go at SMU, which is the furthest west they'll go, and then they have the non-conference game against Kentucky. So if you look at that, like Louisville, probably not like the same as the draw they got in Brom's first year when they went, what was it, like 10-2 or 9-3 or whatever, this first year. But it's very similar, and there's certainly an avenue to where they could very much so be back in the ACC title game. Like, that's not a crazy thing to think about. Of course, they avoid Florida State, and again, they also avoid traveling out west, which had an issue with last year, and losing to Stanford. I'm sure a lot of you folks want to remember that, but luckily that's on the cards this year. You don't go that, and the furthest west you go is early to Dallas, which is, a place that you guys used to go to a lot in the American, at least back in the day, about 15 years ago now. But that's a workable schedule. And again, if this works out with Miller Moss and, you have your running back, your stable of running backs, and Miller Moss can sort of, fit the mold of what you would expect off Jeff Brown quarterback, this team could be another 10-win, 9-win team. They could certainly be in Charlotte for the ACC championship game. I have some of my notes here. So, yes, I think Louisville, some things hopefully we'll get more intel there. But from what we're hearing, looks like things are progressing a little bit. Hopefully, that will continue to be the case. But interesting to see what that looks like for Louisville, especially with Moss coming in and what they have, returning. And I believe that is it for the spring intel. Hopefully, we'll have more in the coming weeks or so. I know a lot of places, especially West Virginia, I believe their final spring practice or week of practices this week, and then we're done. So a lot of places who started early this year are already finishing. How about that? Get some water real quick here, and then we'll continue on. Might be more of a shorter show today. Might actually be the case. But we'll have some Marvel news, some DC conversation, drama, a few more drama, supposedly more drama, and then we'll get into some Q&A. Okay, got some water there. Again, if you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Very important. Do so. That, Spotify. Make sure to follow us on Twitter as well. At @4verts_pod. We interact on there a lot. We also make a lot of announcements on there as well. So if you're not following me there, make sure you do so. And again, make sure you subscribe. Like the streams. And also subscribe to us on Spotify as well. That's the two places you can find us. The live show for YouTube only. The recorded audio version, not on YouTube, that's on Spotify. So if you're not able to listen to it live and you would much rather listen to it, have something playing in the background or in your car or whatever, then Spotify is the way to go for you. Okay. So we had some Marvel news yesterday or last evening. Of course, mentioned this on the pre-show on YouTube that got some news regarding Spider-Man because the CinemaCon is going on in Las Vegas right now. So a lot of sort of what that is a convention for theaters and like the big ones like big ones like Regal, I believe, is one of them. AMC, the ones that movie theater companies will go there. private theaters will go there and they will have these a convention once a year on this time of the year, and then we'll have the studios come in and we'll present to them movies that are coming out in the next year or so and give them whether it be showing off footage or making announcements and stuff, just sort of getting them excited and making them invest more and make them more willing to actually show their products in their theaters. And that's what happens this time of the year. And what coincides with that is getting announcements. We got that yesterday. We'll get more. Don't worry, because again, with tonight, I believe it's DC and Warner Brothers, so they'll be there tonight. And then Marvel, in conjunction with Disney, will be there on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe. Wednesday, Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday, towards the end of the week. But so we had some news about the two Spider-Man movies that are coming out. Well, I know of our announcements too. It's kind of a dry in terms of announcements, which makes sense given what happened with Sony's own Spider Universe. Doesn't include Spider-Man. They have since sort of shut that down for a little bit, so there's no new announcements to be had. But we got two new news information from this from CinemaCon. One being Spider-Verse finally getting its release day. I think it also sort of confirms what Jeff Snyder was saying about they're making some changes to it. There's a lot of turmoil going on behind the scenes. Of course they'll have the directors and folks attached to the movie. They'll defend it, even though they'll eventually have egg on their face. And they kind of did it yesterday, saying, yeah, some of those reports that came out, yes, they're true, and we'll admit it here, but whatever. The third Spider-Verse movie will be coming out in 2 years. So in 2027, you will get the conclusion to that trilogy. It remains to be seen if it is still going to be connected to the stuff that Disney Marvel is doing with, this big collaboration with, some of those characters for a long time have been rumored to appear in Secret Wars. That's been something that Alex Perez has been talking about for a long time, even going back to a couple of years ago, that the plan is to have the live-action characters interact with the animated characters. I'm pausing there because I know a lot of you still don't believe that. I know for sure Alex over at the Cosmic Service is not lying to you. I think what he's hearing is absolutely true. There is certainly still probably plans for that to happen. Now, of course, you've had Marvel change some stuff, like, taking out Kang, and after the stuff with Jonathan Majors being fired, sort of having to rework all this. Now to bring in Doctor Doom. It's a lot of people to question, is that still on the table? I still believe it is, and I still believe that the changes, the reason why this is being delayed, is because they are having to, rework the story and have it fit in with Marvel's current plan. If indeed this grand, crossover event is indeed going to happen, which I still firmly believe is going to happen. I don't believe Alex has said anything to contradict that at the moment. So at the moment, at least in my thinking, and to everyone else in the Marvel scooper coverage community, feels that that's still on track. They were still going to have these animated characters interact with the live-action characters. And yes, there will be animated characters actually on the screen and talking to live-action people. I know a lot of folks don't like to hear that. I think that's it's a cheap gimmick. It's really stupid. Look, they've done it before. I know a lot of folks will use Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it's been going on even before that. I think the first time that really happened was the Warner Brothers cartoon. You Ought to Be in Pictures, with Daffy and Porky interacting with literally the studio heads of the Warner Brothers cartoon division, which was back in the 40s. So yes, it's been something that's going on for a long time, and it's happened before. And short of technology and the advances in that, hopefully it will look a little bit better. But again, based on what I've heard or not heard, this is still the plan, and they still are planning on connecting all of this stuff to Doctor Doom and Secret Wars, and they'll eventually those characters will appear. As the at least at the moment, that's what it looks like. And look, can that change? And they can easily, make the Spider-Verse stuff, make it be its own separate thing, even though they were connecting it, but it's not anymore. Well, I think they certainly still do that, but why would they waste time bringing in Donald Glover as an actual live-action version of the Prowler and setting up, using the world tree with the branches and stuff, and connecting it to the Loki show? And it's like why would they waste all those resources and time to bring that stuff in just to not have it pay off? And I'm telling you, I firmly believe it's going to pay off, and I firmly believe you will see those characters in their animation form cross over again. I know this sounds stupid, but from what Alex Perez is saying, he's been saying this going back to a couple years ago. He has some of the best sources in the industry in terms of the Marvel stuff that you can get. But besides him is Jeff Snyder. But below that is Perez, and he's done a really good job of relaying that information. And at the moment, that's still the plan here to have that happen. That's unless he comes out and says something otherwise. I still believe that's the plan here. Speaking of Secret Wars and the next year Avengers movies, we finally got the title for the next Spider-Man live-action movie, which is A Brand New Day, which is indeed something that was leaked, by the way, all the way back in October. It was what the Film Production Weekly or whatever. It's like something tied to the U.S. Patent Office. You have to, get that, the title copyrighted and stuff and whatnot. So like that was leaked a while ago, and I think a lot of folks forgot about that. Then this gets announced yesterday, and folks on Twitter were going, "Oh yeah, that was leaked all a long time ago." And I think it's interesting a lot of folks forgot that. But yes, that was something that was put out publicly. Of course, Production Weekly is is a public database. You can go on there and find a whole bunch of stuff that has been leaked before and that ended up being true. Go back, think back to Secret Wars back in 2022 before the official announcement was made. And looks like that's the same case here. Now that the plot description there, I don't know if that's actually real or not, but hey, given that the title was real and that the description, maybe perhaps that little synopsis is real. So, and it certainly doesn't line up with some of the thinking with some of the casting stuff that's come out with new actors being put in and whatnot. I'm not going to go into that here because we'll be here for a while, but it certainly adds more credence to this being taking place after Doomsday. I know Jeff Snyder reported, or not necessarily reported, but just believes this will be taking place congruent with Doomsday, and that's why you're not going to have Tom Holland come in, and it's more of an affordability thing, which I agree with Joshua with them nerds when he was on the stream yesterday and today. That's complete BS. There's certainly a way they can work it out. It's not like we're trying to build the freaking World Trade Center or the Burj Khalifa. It's not that hard to, restructure a contract or maybe give Tom more money to appear. He's going to be in it unless we hear otherwise and it comes out officially through actual channels and actual reports. Then my personal opinion going forward is that he will be in the movie and he will be a big part of it. I mean, heck, go back to the early versions of the Kang Dynasty and some of the old rumors coming from that was that version of Spider-Man, the main Marvel Spider-Man, was going to be a major play in it, and Tom Holland was going to be the top billed actor in that movie, along with back then Jonathan Majors. So that's sort of still my thinking. I don't think they're going to totally go away from that. Look, they could obviously do that. I know nothing's guaranteed, or nothing is guaranteed, but at the moment, unless we hear something otherwise, I believe he will be in the movie. Again, I just disclaimer here again, nothing's ever guaranteed in life. Certainly things can change. Maybe there was, of course, a version of this where Tom was going to be involved more as one of the lead actors and his version of Spider-Man would be in it. But of course, Jeff could be right here and they could be going congruently and, he's not in it. And, from a fan's perspective, that's kind of strange how you're going to, miss out on an opportunity to have Dr. Doom, who was being played by Robert Downey Jr., with someone like Tom Holland, who was totally both in real life and in the movies his mentor. So that would be strange. But then again, there's certainly an avenue where that is the truth. And like I said, nothing's guaranteed. And there's certainly a possibility for that. But I don't think that's the case. But we'll see. We'll keep tabs on it. But The Brave New Day, in terms of the title, is also a title that was used for a comic book that was a sequel to another book that was I think One More Day or whatever. What I'm trying to say here is that it's the title that they're using is based off of a comic book that was a sequel to another comic book that was the basis for No Way Home, which was Doctor Strange using a spell and everything, and memory wipes everyone. Kind of the same premise, just with different characters and stuff and different details and whatnot. But with Brand New Day, the synopsis of that one is, Peter, makes a deal with Mephisto and he wants to get his own life back and whatnot. And he's going to sacrifice his relationship with MJ, and it's, a whole thing. Clearly, it looks like they're not doing the whole Mephisto thing unless they are bringing in Sacha Baron Cohen to be him. I've heard different things about him not actually being an Ironheart or not. Again, that TV show has been filmed and stored for over 3 years. So who knows what's been changed, what's been muddled with, but I don't think they're going to Mephisto route. They're probably going to go instead of Mephisto as Doctor Doom, and probably will be something set up in Doomsday that will carry over. And this movie will be a Battle World movie, as I would assume. So probably bring in, Spider Island, which is why you're hearing a lot of rumblings about, multiverse stuff with, the two other versions of Spider-Man who were in No Way Home will be returning, and along with other Spider characters, again, maybe even some of the animated characters being involved as well. So we'll see on that, but that was revealed yesterday at CinemaCon. Of course, Tom wasn't there. He was out, of course, filming the Odyssey for Nolan, Christopher Nolan. And the director, by the way, is the Shang-Chi director, Cretton, who was going to do King Dynasty, but of course did the creative overhaul, and now he's been assigned to this, which is cool. Though I still don't fully understand the whole dislike towards John Watts and him exiting. A lot of just a lot of folks don't like him for some reason, which I don't understand. Like, he's not a friend of the program or anything. I've never met him before, but like, I don't know, just a lot of weird animosity towards him. And it's like, what did he do? You're acting like he murdered someone, and you're making it sound like like, I don't know, whatever. It's a whole other tangent. That might be another topic for a different show, or a different topic for another show. But yeah, there is the Spider-Man news, and now we will sort of talk about this real quick. It's the Superman leak. I won't dwell on it too much, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, this sort of started happening yesterday and the day before, and people were talking about this. There's this big leak going around about Superman, and you go on places like Reddit and Twitter and some of these other social media places, and you see different things floating around. From what Josh over at Den of Nerds said earlier today on his live stream, and he went over this, the leak, and sort of explained what happened. The Reddit leak and the stuff you're seeing on there, the big, blog post style with the screenshot, it's like a whole 2 pages. Most of that stuff in there is fake. That's what he said, and that's not me saying it, that's him. That's me quoting him. And I kind of believe him. I think most of that stuff in there was probably not true, although some of it's been kind of similar to things we've been hearing about the Superman movie, how it's, very jokey and stuff like that. And again, there's no concrete information to suggest that is true or not, but it sort of leans that way. But the majority of that stuff in that public that's been floating around on Reddit and Twitter is just not real. Most of that stuff in there is not real. Some of it, at least in my opinion, is probably like sort of zombified ChatGPT, sort of, hey, here's this piece of information I got that is real, and just, create a synopsis around it. And I think that's probably what happened. But anyway, the part of that plot leak, or supposed plot leak, at least the fake one that was actually real, the part of it that's actually real, is surrounding Jor-El, Superman's Kal-El's father from Krypton and everything. And I'm sure most of you who are fans of the character know the backstory. The planet gets destroyed, and Jor-El and his wife send him down to Earth, and it's more of a how should I say this? It's the context behind that is more positive. It's more of, hey, go to Earth and sort of spread a positive influence on the people of Earth and whatnot. And I'm sure if you've seen the old Christopher Reeve Superman films and the Snyder film, you sort of know the general backstory, right? But what is the case for this movie, and what is actually a actual leak here, and what is the crux of what's been happening, is that what Josh about Den of Nerds brought up today on his stream is that the idea of James Gunn sort of changing some stuff with the background of Krypton and the Kryptonians being more imperialistic, and they're making them more villains, if you will, and Jor-El and his message supposedly in the movie to Superman is more sort of making him seem like a villain, right? And that's the vibe that it surely seems like James is going for, which would explain a lot of the stuff you see in the trailer that's been out there since December of like people throwing trash at Superman when he's going into the Stag Industries building, probably after Lex Luthor ends up probably leaking it somehow, like the actual video that Jor-El sends to him, and it sort of makes Superman seems like he's going to be like just like his father, where it's like a imperialistic, taking over the planet and whatnot. So that stuff is true, and it sounds like that is going to happen, and that's probably the version of Kryptonians we're going to see in the not Snyder, in the James Gunn DC universe. And I think for a lot of people that's going to be very much a divergent from what you're used to hearing, or at least used to seeing, in whether it be the comics or the TV shows and movies, which is true. But at least on paper, at least on just from a general sense of hearing that concept, I don't necessarily have a negative reaction to it. I'm more, that's why I say this. It's more, I'm more open to it. I'm not negative towards it. I'm not even remotely positive towards it, but I'm neutral towards it. It's interesting. It's a different spin on it, and it's not a total deviation, but it's certainly an interesting take on it, right? It's again, you're making the Kryptonians more militaristic, or well, they were militaristic, but more imperialist, right? I mean, of course, we've gotten that with the Zod character, General Zod, but in terms of Superman's father being more like Zod is in the comics and more, imperialistic and more antagonist, that is a little bit different. But hey, look, if it's executed well in the movie, and of course, rumors going around about, Bradley Cooper being Jor-El, I think that's probably true, and I think that is also real, and that it's probably is the case, that it is the surprise cameo in the movie. That'd be interesting to see. I know a lot of folks were wanting Tom Cruise to play him, but look, I know a lot of folks probably haven't seen a lot of Bradley Cooper in other movies besides the Hangover movie, or him voicing Rocket in the Guardians films and the Avengers films. But if you've never seen War Dogs, which is, by the way, the same director of those films and the Joker movie, Todd Phillips, if you haven't seen War Dogs, it's by Miles Teller and Jonah Hill. It's based off a real story too. But Bradley Cooper is in there. He's a very minor role. He comes in towards the middle and late in the film. He can play a serious character, and that's sort of the vibes I'm getting. If he is indeed playing a Jor-El, that it's probably going to be sort of like his character in War Dogs, a very, narcissistic, mysterious, villainous type character. That's the vibe. If we're getting that type of performance from him as Jor-El, and this is the type of version, or this is the version of the character they're displaying to us, then hey, you got me sold. That's been pretty cool if that is the case. Hopefully that's the case, and that's the type of performance we're going to get, hopefully. But yeah, that's the news on the Superman leak, if you will. I got some Q&A questions. I guess we can go over these pretty quickly. Let me see, where were they? Yeah, here they are. I guess first question here is there any excitement for Star Wars Celebration? This is actually, before we go into that, I'm actually going to move some things around here real quick. So I'm going to move this here. Yeah, things go silent here on the podcast feed and on YouTube. Yeah, I know the camera's far away here, or at least what I'm using to record YouTube. So if it goes dead here, nothing's wrong. I'm just moving some stuff around. Yeah, there we go. That's a lot better. My feet were sweating because my laptop was sitting right on top of me. So that should hopefully avoid any more sweating there. Of course, it gets hot when you're having a lot of programs open, but whatever. Yeah, excitement for a Star Wars Celebration. Yeah, I'm seeing this a lot. Not a lot of talk about this, and of course the current. There's some spit there on my screen. The current state of Star Wars is obviously not good, and of course, there's a lot of things happening right now. Of course, we have Andor coming out this month. By the way, Ahsoka season 2 is filming. By the way, that got started last week, I believe, and of course, it got put out via several of the actors' social medias that they were in London. So that obviously means that they're filming right now, or else why would they be there? I think it was the guy who plays Ezra. I don't remember his name, and also the actress who plays Sabine, Natasha, is also. They posted some stuff a couple weeks ago on their socials, and it kind of correlates that they're in London and whatnot. So that's kind of why people started to raise eyebrows, going, "Oh, they're going to start filming," and it turns out it is the case. But yeah, Celebration, yeah. So besides Andor and Ahsoka filming, and of course we have the Mandalorian Grogu movie that's coming out next summer. The overall excitement for Star Wars right now is pretty blank. I know the stuff with is there going to be any changes going on with Kathleen Kennedy? Is she actually leaving or not? Of course, that was a big story last month. I don't know. I guess there doesn't seem to be a lot of excitement. I'm sure we'll get some stuff. Maybe our first trailer or first trailer being shown publicly, hopefully, of the Mandalorian movie. Maybe we'll get some announcements. I'm sure we'll probably get some animation stuff, and that's actually been confirmed. And I'm sure we'll get maybe some set stuff from Ahsoka. Probably not. I'm sure that Dave and the whole crew won't be there. I mean, that's, I mean, like, look, I mean, like celebrations taking place in Japan. I don't think they're gonna be able to fly everyone flying over to Japan coming from London. I don't think they're gonna be doing that. I think they'll be busy doing that. So they'll probably get like a video message or whatever from Dave and saying, "Hey, we've been filming for a little bit. We'll hopefully, next celebration or D23 or 7 will have stuff to show." But in terms of excitement, yeah, there's not really a whole lot of excitement. It's sad. Even as a fan, it's tough. But I do acknowledge it's a bit of a strange moment for them right now, and they have a lot of things they have to work out in terms of what the future holds and who will be taking over for Kathleen if she indeed is heading out, and who shall replace her when she ends up moving on, when that ever happens. But yeah, it's just I don't think there is any excitement, and I think that's sort of a microcosm of the current state of the brand right now. Again, I've enjoyed saying that, but it is what it is, and they have screwed up multiple times on multiple projects recently, and I'm sure you'll get folks going over there, and of course I'm not going over there, and a lot of the folks I follow aren't going over there because, like, I mean, hopping on a plane and going over to Japan is not necessarily something, at least in my my budget, that it's affordable. But I'm sure there'll be live streaming stuff, and there'll be a lot of things coming out on Twitter and social media of what's happening and whatnot. But again, things I'm excited for Celebration. Of course, more information on the Mandalorian movie, Ahsoka season 2 news. Hopefully, some new animation stuff coming out, and that's kind of it. I'm sure we'll get more information on the Rey movie, more information about maybe some other theatrical stuff. But then again, is there really a lot of excitement about that? Not really. Again, like I mentioned at the top, at least during the pre-show on YouTube, that Josh over at Den Nerds has a big video coming out about Ahsoka news and what's going on there, because again, they have started filming recently, so I would imagine some leaks and stuff are going to be happening, and it seems like that's already been the case, that things have already started to leak out, and other information too you'll be putting out in that video, I would assume, has already been published. So much like the rest of y'all be listening to that here soon, but I'll give you guys my thoughts on that on Thursday, certainly. But supposedly some big information, even more significant than the Superman leak. So we'll see. Let's see your next question. Chances of another non-SEC title game being a national title. I don't know. I mean, this one's interesting. So the past couple of years, you have not had an SEC champion and the national title. It's been 2 straight years that we've had no SEC teams in the national title. Previous season, it was Michigan, Washington. This season, it was Notre Dame, and Ohio State. So 2 straight years, no SEC teams in the national title. Like I said, like everyone else said, I would imagine that drought is going to end at some point. Hopefully, hopefully, but reasonably probably soon. I would imagine the SEC and some of these bigger programs down there would not just idly stand by and watch Michigan and Ohio State win 2 national titles, and the Big Ten having 2 natties in the past 2 years. I don't think that's going to be the case very much longer. I think there is certainly an avenue to get at least one SEC team in the national title this coming up season, whether it's Texas, Bama, Georgia, even Florida, right? Everyone's, dissing on Billy Napier, and everyone's dissing on that Florida program, saying it's complete trash. Well, I agree. The schedule's insanely tough. There's a lot of competitive pressure and job security pressure, but that's still a talented team. Like, even with DJ Lagway not throwing in the spring and his medical situation, which I don't really care, as long as he's healthy for fall camp and their first game against Long Island, which is an actual school they're playing, that a made-up team and whatnot. As long as he's healthy, as long as they can, avoid injuries and they can, catch some teams early, Florida could be a dangerous team in the playoff. And selling to DJ Lagway, who is a special talent, very rare talent there, somewhat on par with someone like Anthony Richardson, who was there recently. Regardless of how he's doing it, I feel Anthony Richardson was a machine in college in terms of freakish ability. DJ Lagway, I think, is more polished than that. I think he has definitely a better talent roster around him. The schedule is tough, but I think there is a path. Even Florida could be in this conversation too. Look, they go 9-3, 10-2. I damn guarantee you they'll be in the playoff. If they are not, that would be pretty embarrassing. And I think that will certainly add in this more fuel to having an expanded playoff and the SEC and the Big Ten hijacking it. So, yeah, I think the SEC has a good chance they will. If it's not, obviously Florida's not guaranteed, but, Texas, Georgia, Bama, even A&M too, number one. Everyone's just forgetting about them. Everyone believes that, Mike Elko, trash head coach. He just got there like 2 minutes ago. He's like, just completed his first season. Like, let's slow down a little bit. I think Elko's building something there too, and I think Ole Miss too, another team everyone's forgetting about. Could be in this mix too. And they literally won the portal this past cycle, and they got some good players, and they finished with the top 10 class. So to say all that to say, yes, I think this drought of non-SEC teams being the national championship and winning it will probably come to an end, and I think we'll get at least one. Whoever that is, we don't know because the season hasn't started yet. So, yeah, I think we'll definitely get a SEC team in the title game. I think that drought will end sooner rather than later, unlike the EF5 drought for tornadoes, which has been going on for the past 12 years, which is a whole other can of worms not going down in this show. Last question here, thoughts on April Fools that was submitted. I think it's dumb. I think the more and more, look, it was fun when you were a kid, and that was fun during the, advent of YouTube and stuff, where it's like, oh man, this video just popped up saying, such and such big time YouTuber is doing this, and turns out it's not true. I guess the more and more you've been, what's the word for it? I guess the more and more you've been desaturized to it, the less and less you're gonna react to it. Like today, for example, you've seen all the, the people saying, oh, I heard this thing is coming out, or the next GTA trailer is coming out today. It's like, yeah, I've heard that before, or whatever. Check the date. Oh, yeah, I kind of expected. So, yeah. There's some fun stuff, right? For example, Arizona State doing the April Fools of coloring the field all maroon, which, by the way, if they actually did that in real life, yeah, it's kind of tacky, but I wouldn't be opposed to that. That's kind of cool. But too bad they're not actually doing that to April Fools. But, and there's some funny ones, but they're not real because they're not real, right? They would, why else would they be announcing it on April 1st? But yeah, just in terms of April Fools in general, yeah, it's not really something I care for. It's just a down the counter now, and it's fun, right? As you're a kid, you're pulling pranks on people and stuff, and that's fun if you're that age, and certainly again going back to the advent of the internet and its infancy when it was still new, right? And I think you weren't too desaturated towards it yet. You weren't used to it, but now you're used to it and you kind of expect it. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on April Fool's there. And this show certainly is not a Fool's joke either. We're actually doing a live show here. That's the last question here. So, we'll be back on Thursday. We'll see. I'll let you guys know if anything changes or not. But we should be back on Thursday. I'll let you guys know beforehand if we have to record something or not. So, until Thursday, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, like I mentioned at the top, our friends in Oklahoma, the Midwest, and parts of the Southeast. Keep you guys on my thoughts. It's going to be rough. And I think as I check here, as we end the recording, I believe there is now a tornado watch for Oklahoma. I think sooner rather than later. It's not been posted yet, but it's still, was it the last mesoscale discussion? Still 60%, probably within the hour or so that we'll be issuing it. That was at 5:15, so about an hour, about 6:15 our time, Eastern time, from the East Coast, and you're paying attention to this, so we'll probably have something moving in. But that situation over there is more conditional than what's happening tomorrow. But yeah, still could be potentially pretty dangerous, if you will, especially out in the central plains and today, and then tomorrow in the Midwest and parts of the Southeast. But luckily here in Florida, we have what's called a ridge building in, and that's going to keep us warm for the next couple of days and give us a preview of summer. But if you're a fan of cooler and more normal temperatures, that will you'll get your weeks next week. So how about that? Okay, so we'll have a show Thursday, as probably some way somehow. But yeah, until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.